You know why you don't feel passion for anything anymore? Because you're at war with who you are. And it's impossible to love something when you hate the person doing it. Think about this. When was the last time you did something and thought, wow, I'm good at this, without immediately correcting yourself? You draw, but I'm not an artist. You cook. It turned out okay, I guess. You dance. How ridiculous. Here's the problem. Without genuine self-love, everything you touch becomes performance. It becomes an attempt to prove your worth. And performance kills passion. Leonardo da Vinci said that obstinate rigor was necessary for art. But he was talking about rigor with the work, not with himself. He allowed himself to make mistakes, experiment, be curious. You punish yourself for breathing wrong. Here's the truth. You didn't lose your passion. You killed it with self-punishment. But passion is like fire. It can be rekindled. But where does this need to punish yourself come from? Why did you learn to be your own enemy?
You have a secret addiction, and it's not to food or work. You're addicted to punishing yourself. And like every addiction, you don't realize you're doing it. Quick test. When something good happens in your life, what's your first thought? It won't last. I don't deserve this. Something bad will happen to balance it out. You sabotage yourself because suffering became your comfort zone. It's familiar. It's predictable. Viktor Frankl, who survived Nazi concentration camps, discovered something shocking. Even after being freed, many prisoners returned to areas near the camps. Why? Because known suffering is less scary than unknown happiness. You do the same thing. Choose partners who confirm you're not good enough. Sabotage jobs that would work out. Reject compliments that could change your self-perception. Because if you're not suffering, who are you? Your identity is built on pain. But here's what Frankl also discovered. You can choose your suffering. You can suffer for growth instead of suffering for self-destruction. And that choice begins when you remember who you were before you learned to hate yourself.
There's a version of you that you abandoned along the way. A version that loved without asking permission, that created without fear of judgment. They still exist, and they have the key to your passion. When you were a child, did you need a reason to sing in the shower, draw on walls, dance in the living room, make up stories? Of course not. You did it because it gave you pleasure, period. Michelangelo said, the sculpture was already in the marble. He just removed the excess. You're also covered in excess. Excess internal criticism, excess I shoulds, excess comparison, excess fear of judgment. But the child you were is still there, underneath all those layers of fitting in. They're the one who laughs loudly without worrying if it's too much, gets excited about simple things, isn't ashamed of not knowing something, loves genuinely, starting with themselves. Making peace with yourself is making peace with that child. It's saying, sorry for abandoning you. Sorry for shaming you. You were right all along. But how do you reconnect with them? How do you undo years of self-rejection?
Making peace with yourself doesn't happen through reflection. It happens through action. And you're going to start today with a 3-day challenge that will change everything. For the next 3 days, you'll do 15 minutes daily of active self-love. Day 1, Reconnection.
Do something you loved as a child or teenager. Not to get good at it, not to show anyone, just to remember what pure pleasure feels like. It could be drawing, singing, dancing, writing, walking aimlessly. Day 2, acceptance. Accept one compliment without deflecting or minimizing. Just say thank you and breathe deeply. Feel how strange it is to receive something good about yourself. Day 3, revolution. Do something just for you that would normally make you feel guilty. Take a long bath. Buy something small that makes you happy. Take an hour to do nothing productive. The only rule: 0 guilt, 0 productivity, 0 justification to anyone. Think of the farmer. They plant the seed and trust. They don't poke the soil every day asking, did it grow? They water, care, and trust the process. These 3 days aren't about becoming someone else. They're about remembering who you always were before you learned to hide. But what if the guilt comes back? What if you start sabotaging yourself again?
The voice of self-punishment will return. It always returns. But this time, you won't be caught off guard. You'll be prepared for what to do. The guilt will say things like, "You're selfish for prioritizing yourself. This is wasted time. You don't deserve to feel good." Don't fight these voices. Acknowledge them. "Hi, guilt. You're here again. Thanks for trying to protect me. But now I choose differently." Maya Angelou said something powerful. When people show you who they are, believe them the first time. The same applies to yourself. When your mind shows you it learned to attack you, believe it, but don't obey it. Practical strategy. Recognize the self-criticism without fighting it. Thank it for trying to protect you. Choose to do differently anyway. Act despite the discomfort. You can feel guilt and still love yourself. Both things coexist. The difference between those who love themselves and those who hate themselves isn't the absence of self-criticism. It's the choice not to let it drive their life. And when you manage to do this, something revolutionary happens. When you make peace with yourself, you don't just change your life. You change the world around you. And this isn't an exaggeration, it's science. What happens when you stop punishing yourself? You stop sabotaging good things. You accept the job, the relationship, the opportunity. Your energy shifts. People feel when you're not in internal warfare. You become an example without preaching, just by being. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison. When he got out, he chose forgiveness over revenge. Why? Because he understood. Resentment is like taking poison, expecting the enemy to die. You're taking poison every day, the poison of self-punishment, hoping it will make you a better person. But here's the revolutionary truth. In a world that profits from your insecurity, loving yourself is an act of rebellion. The beauty industry needs you to think you're ugly. The self-help industry needs you to think you're broken. Toxic people need you to think you're small. When you genuinely love yourself, you break the system. You don't need to earn your self-love. You need to stop fighting against it. You don't need to become worthy of love. You were born worthy. The passion for life that you lost, it returns naturally when you stop being at war with yourself. So tell me, will you accept a 3-day challenge? What's the first thing you'll do just for you, without guilt, without justification? Let's start this silent revolution together.